Welcome, guys, to the second episode of Revive to Stage, the show in which you will get an in-depth insight on two bodybuilders and their way to the stage. My name is Pascal, and I'm here with the man with probably the most striated glutes 6 months out from a show ever, Steve Hall.
They're striated, sliced, and diced, and yep, stage ready. But my back is fat as hell.
Absolutely, but I can't really say anything about it because I'm fat in general, as we all know from the first episode already. But we are not here to talk about me this time. We are here to actually talk about you, Steve, and how your whole last week went. And yeah, just give us a little bit of overview how everything went from this week.
So awesome, yeah. So people know, I'm just going to reiterate, this week I'm being interviewed, next week will be Pascal, and then the week after that will be me again. So We're going to get 2 weeks kind of in one go, so that's going to be really fun. And yeah, for me this week was a tough week. And actually, it seems really ridiculous because today I feel really, really good. And I think it's been kind of Friday night and then Saturday night I've had lots of sleep. Although my sleep quality hasn't been great. So the reason this week has been pretty hard, it's my 4th week of dieting, so it's kind of an accumulation of that, but also it's my 4th week of training, and that's seen kind of me coming into my wheelchair week, as some people call it, or the week you earn your deload, and I feel like I've earned it, and my deload is next week. And I've basically got to a point of which I wouldn't be able to sustain this amount of volume. I couldn't repeat this amount of volume next week. I've definitely breached the maximum I could do. So yeah, looking forward to that deload next week, of which I'll also be seeing a diet break coming in. So yeah, overall this week, it's definitely been a hard week. I haven't been kind of tempted to give up or kind of binge or break, but I've definitely felt days of which I have wanted to just sit, lounge around and just kind of not do much, which is just low energy levels, which is kind of granted given the amount of fatigue built up from all of those weeks of training and kind of all the dieting I've been doing.
Let's dive into your training sessions before we cover the nutrition base. How did your last overreaching week look like, and what did you actually do? Because I know that you're squatting and deadlifting quite a lot, so it doesn't really surprise me that you're wrecked at the end of the week and you really looking forward for that deload coming up.
Yeah, so I squat once a week, deadlift once a week, but both those sessions are kind of like an emphasis session on that and those muscle groups in particular. So my squat session is quad emphasis day. Deadlift day is kind of glutes and hamstring sort of emphasis day, and I've just got my kind of volume numbers up here, and so in terms of number of sets, from week 1 my sets started at, for all muscle groups, at 118. So in the week I was doing 118 sets for my entire body. By the week 4, which is the week I've just done, there was 189 sets. So on average I've added about 2 sets to every body part every week. So kind of there's been significant increases in volume week to week. So, and within that, reps thereabouts stay the same, and I've seen small increments in intensity, so weight added onto the bar where I can and where I feel possible. So if I go to my squat specifically, I actually think I started out my mesocycle pretty high on volume, and I struggled to actually increase my set numbers week to week.
Which is already quite high.
Yeah, I mean, I started out at 5 sets for my first week. So I was on 150 kilos, and then I did a down set to 130 kilos. Whereas this week, what did I have? I had 4 top sets at 160 kilos, and then 4 down sets at 142.5 kilos. I actually managed more reps for this week than I did in week 1, so I've definitely seen some progress there, and I didn't leave anything on the table. Actually, this is the first time I think in a very long time, kind of my hips and knees ached in between sets. Like I didn't want to sit down, I wanted to move because I was just like, they're aching. They don't hurt now. This is the day after squatting, and I haven't got like pain today, so it's not anything like injury wise, because that sounds like it could potentially be something really bad, but they
Yes.
just ached. I was just like, wow, like this is hard.
So,
Yeah.
so do you think that it has to do with overreaching itself, or was it more this muscle fatigue or joint fatigue?
I think it was, yeah, an element of overreaching. And I've certainly had some symptoms of overreaching this week. And I'm glad I'm deloading, otherwise I would enter a kind of overtraining if I tried to push next week as well, for sure. So like my sleep's been disrupted. I've definitely been more moody. My hunger's been a bit kind of all over the place a little bit. When you overreach, you tend to like not be as hungry, which is weird when you're in a dieted state. So I haven't not been hungry. It's just been kind of a bit less kind of standard and usual. And then yeah, energy levels have just been like some days like after deadlifting. I remember we talked and I sent you a few voicemails just like I'm lying in bed doing my work. I can't move. I don't want to get food. I just want to sleep here. Life
But this,
was not good.
yeah,
That said.
but I think you hit the sweet spot when it comes to your volume. You need to progress because I know, because you told me that you were kind of constant when it comes to your weigh-ins, that you didn't really drop a lot of weight over the past 4 weeks. However, when looking at your pictures and physique updates, you still, or you're looking quite leaner compared to 4 weeks ago. So when listening now to that you are really need the deload, which comes up now, and looking at your physique update and the weight itself, it shows us that it seems like you made a lot of progress, even maybe build some muscle in the process as well. Yeah. And it seems to me that you really hit this sweet spot when it comes to training volume here during this mesocycle.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've really, well, not the first time. Yeah, actually, this is probably the first time I've really nailed kind of my MRV on each body part. In previous, I haven't been working with the concept of kind of moving up sets and volume via that progression for a very long period of time. And so far, kind of this mesocycle was the one where I felt consistently sore in the muscle groups that you tend to feel sore in kind of every week. And that was through, I hadn't in the past really progressed my accessory movements so efficiently and effectively week to week. They'd kind of stayed a bit static. But doing the AM and the PM sessions, and then also making sure my nutritional timing was really on point, I think actually just nailing everything. I can only imagine how much muscle and progress I would have made in a surplus. Because in this deficit, I certainly feel like I've gained muscle coming out of the primer phase that I was in before low volume, having got so everything kind of dotted my I's, crossed my T's. The only things I think I could have improved upon were probably things like sleep. I think if I put more towards sleep, maybe taking naps in the day, I think I would have seen better progress. But yeah, you're really right in terms of my weight. So that the listeners know, my kind of starting weight was, actually, I don't know. Well, my first week's average was 175.05, sorry. Then the next week was actually 0.1 pound up, so level basically. The week after that was down to 174.76, so down less than, well, actually, yeah, down quarter of a pound. And then the week after that, which is the week just gone, again, I'm down at 174.21. So from week 1 to week 4, I have lost less than 1 pound in 4 weeks of dieting, in which I came from 3,200 calories maintenance to 2,300, 2,400 calories deficit, clear deficit.
Yeah.
But no weight change, really massive, like not a significant change.
And this is so weird to actually see something like this happening, because you would expect, coming from a primer phase or maintenance phase, that you see a massive fall in or decrease in weight on the first 1 to 2 weeks, because this is always what happens with me usually, and that I see a massive drop in the first giving days. Yeah. However, with you, it was kind of the contrast. You stayed constant on a constant level, even though you increased your volume and you. The good thing or the point I want to make is that you didn't stress out and you trusted the process itself. Yeah. Do you think that this was actually a good thing, which allowed you to really hit this kind of volume this week?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of people 2 weeks in would have been like stressed to hell, because effectively in those 2 weeks, the first week I lost a little bit, the next week it maintained. And so at that point you'd be thinking, well, hang on, I put myself in a supposedly like over 500 calorie deficit. I haven't got really lazy. I started actually, my step count had gone up, my cardio had stayed constant, and my training volume had gone up. So there was no way I wasn't in a calorie deficit. But I think a lot of people would have stressed out at that point. But I just, having had the experience myself, lots of clients knew that there's something fishy going on, and I'm still waiting for that kind of big drop to happen. And recently we published an article on the website talking about this, kind of the whoosh that people see, because they're holding on to maybe lots of cortisol, which leads to a lot of water retention. And I imagine kind of mid next week, I'm going to see like a 170 or something low. And part of me is like, really wants that to happen. And part of me is like, well, if you're looking shredded, you're looking better, why would you want the scale weight to go down? So part of me is kind of holding on to the fact that, oh, I haven't dropped much weight. That's not actually that bad a thing. And I think something I'd done in the past, and something I definitely did for my first contest prep, was basically massed for ages. Like I was massing for like 2 years in a surplus, got to like a peak body weight, and then went straight into a deficit, and my weight just plummeted. And I see a lot of people do this. And Mike Israel's talked about this, in that people don't hold on to their high weight. They don't hold on to that new mass. So then when they do cut, they actually see losses in muscle tissue, because the body's just like doesn't really recognize it as new tissue it needs to hold on to. So by holding that body weight for a period of time, the body is kind of like identifies it. It's like, right, we're not going to lose that stuff. We'll lose the fat. So in my eyes, I'm thinking, oh, actually, like this is really good that the weight's coming off very gradually, and I've got plenty of time. So that helped. I think the biggest thing, coming back to like not stressing out, the experience, but also knowing how much time I have before I have to get to stage. And also the fact I wasn't feeling stressed day to day in my life. Like I wasn't feeling particularly like I was holding on to lots of water. I didn't feel like my physique was looking bad. And just getting on with the day-to-day stuff that really matters, and just kind of following the process.
You brought up a really interesting point, especially when it comes to contest prep. People expect just to lose weight the whole time, and they just focus so much on losing weight that it could potentially lead to muscle loss, actually. Because when we look at your process, it doesn't necessarily need, or you doesn't necessarily need to actually lose weight to look better. And maybe this shouldn't be your main goal, to actually lose weight, but the main focus should be to actually simply look better. And I think this is actually what you experience now. You're the best proof of how a really good, well-structured training and nutrition program should look like, because you're staying kind of at the same level when it comes to your body weight, and still you're making massive improvements. And me looking from the outside on your physique, it's just like I saw a massive progress here over the past 4 weeks. And even though your weight is kind of still stable, it is that I see, okay, this dude is on a diet now, and he's doing his contest prep, and there are coming striations in. And I mean, your back, which holds the most fat, I would say, comes in even more, and you can see more definition going on compared to the first week. When you say that a deload and diet break is coming up, how will that look like? What are your plans moving forward now?
So every deload, which basically training intensity and volume as a combination come down, I put that together with a diet break. And what that really means for the listeners is, a diet break is basically eating at maintenance calories. So stopping dieting, you're not doing anything. You're just eating at a level that would maintain your body weight. And then in terms of the deload, The most fatiguing thing for me right now is my training volume. It's at unsustainable levels. The intensity isn't crazy high. So during kind of hypertrophy style training that we recommend people do when cutting and what that I'm doing, volume will be cut kind of quite large to a large degree, whereas intensity will just come down gradually. Just lighting my face up because I was looking a bit dark. It's starting
Beautiful.
to get dark here, and you
So
don't want to
warm
miss
now.
the beard.
Exactly. Looking so smooth and warm now.
So in terms of the diet, I'm going to make sure most of my calories come from carbohydrates, especially like at the beginning. Well, just in the week in general, make a focus on carbohydrates because I want to make sure I replete glycogen stores. I want to be glycogen full because it's basically like if people envisage going for a long car journey and then you need to fill up for gas. Glycogen is that gas I need to refill and refuel to go forward. And rather than having refeeds in which I'm kind of plugging in like small amounts of gas every week, I'm saving it all to have in this 1 week in which hopefully not only am I going to replete that gas and have a full tank, I'm also going to reduce a lot of the diet fatigue that's been happening, get better night's sleep, and just kind of feel like much more satiated, not feel so hungry all the time. And when I get back onto the road of cutting, it will just make stuff a lot easier, and it'll be like another first week of a diet rather than feeling like I've just not really had any breaks.
Yeah, and this is a good point you brought up there, that a deload and a diet break shouldn't only be focused around training and nutrition, giving yourself a break there, but also on your mental aspect and the physical aspect when it comes to sleep as well. Yeah, try to really improve on every single area and give your body the rest it needs on every single area. This should be a real break from the training and nutrition itself, so that you are able to push the next weeks additionally to that. And what I would like to know is, do you make any adjustments when it comes to your food intake? Do you eat in a different way or something?
So that's a good question because I've actually not done it very often, where I've only actually done my contest prep and then I did 2 mini cuts, and in those mini cuts, one of them I utilized refeeds, the other one I didn't. So I didn't have any diet breaks and then back into a diet. Like usually I'd just be done now. If this was a mini cut, I'd be done. And I mean, if I needed, like, I could be done now because I'm in a very good stage to be able to gain lean mass. I'm nice and lean, but I'm not done. I'm going dieting again. So I have a few things I could do. I mean, I could just eat the same and just add carbs to meals, which I think would be very boring. Or I could go the other way and really treat myself like I'm planning to. And I'm making some dough tonight to have. Me and Charlotte are going to have pizza together on Monday because she's actually away the rest of the week. But I'm planning to make several batches of pizza dough so that I can enjoy that in the evenings, because anyone who knows me knows I love my pizza. And by making it at home, I can be sure I'm not kind of underestimating portions of food, and I'm not getting the wrong amount of carbohydrates, too much fat and everything. So I can get it right. So I can feel good from that regard. And what I'm hoping is this kind of gets my want and love for pizza out the way, so then I can get back to dieting and not struggle. Not that I struggle anyway. But I think this is really interesting because I've had clients go through these periods in time where some of them will really go down the route of, okay, I've got more food, that means I can have more junk, which in a sense is true, because that 80-20, that 20% that is kind of can be junk and still be healthy, increases. It's a larger proportion of the calories. Whereas I've had other clients who just fill up everything with really good, clean food, quote unquote. But I think it's one of those where, are you someone who can have, I don't know actually, Pascal, in this situation, what would you do? Would you go and just add more food to your baseline diet, or would you kind of have some of the things you've been fancying, knowing next week you're going to be back in that deficit?
For me personally, when I'm dieting or in a diet phase, I really need to stay in the flow, and it's way easier if I stick to the foods or the meals I tend to eat while I'm dieting. However, I will not include so many veggies, for example,
Yep.
because when I'm dieting, I can get away with a pretty large deficit. Yeah, during the week I'm always busy and stuff like that, and I'm such a person who always struggles on the weekends due to social events and stuff like that. And I mean, this is why I incorporate a lot of veggies and a lot of filling stuff, which I won't eat in that amount when I'm in a diet break. Yeah. However, I don't use the diet break to actually get in some junk food or something, because that would throw me off so much of being in the state of dieting, being in the flow with my mindset. Because when I then get back to actually diet again, I'm so food focused on the things I liked and the taste of it. Because I think, I don't know, I haven't read the new book from Stephen Guyenet yet, but I think that he covers it when it comes to the sense of taste.
The food reward hypothesis, is it?
Exactly. And I mean, what I mean by that is when I'm eating the foods I love, I have a hard time transition over to the not so palatable foods anymore. Um, I love my broccoli and I love my chicken. Yeah, I'm kind of bro-ish, but I actually like the taste of it. However, compared to other palatable foods, it's nothing alike, and I would rather eat those palatable foods the whole time. And when I ate ate those palatable foods for a whole week and then need to transition over to broccoli and chicken again, uh, I'm really struggling. And this is why I try to stick to my common foods I always eat during the diet to stay in the zone, because a diet break is really only a diet break and should be just a short mental break and physical break. Uh, and if that would throw me off too much and would give me a harder time to get back into the diet itself, I think it wouldn't be a real diet break, because it would just make
Stress you
things
more.
exactly would make things way more harder in the long run than having the benefits of a diet break from the short term.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to really think about those things and consider them, because both you and me are a big fan of flexible dieting, but that doesn't mean, and a lot of people do take it to mean, that you have to even fit in flex in junk bowls and dirty foods, where it doesn't.
Yeah.
It just means you pick foods that allow you to stick to your diet. And for you, Pascal, that means keeping things very bro-ish. And whereas for me, I'm one of those lucky people that can just chuck in something sweet and I can deal with just having one. I've got some crazy determination or whatever it might be that just doesn't make me want and crave more and more and more. So during the diet break, I think if I'm honest, I think my day-to-day meals will probably look very similar. And the biggest change will be I'll probably chuck in like the big homemade pizza before bed.
Yeah.
That be my like last meal of the day, and I'll just have a ton of carbs for bed. Probably sleep much better that way, and that will be the only change. And I think for me, that will be okay. And I might use, if Charlotte was around or kind of there were things going on, I might kind of go out for a meal and use the flexibility there and kind of overestimate calories and things and do it in those sort of ways just to allow that to happen, and then get back on the kind of stricter path from there. I think if you were to really get unstructured during the diet break, you don't want to get too far away from the original diet. If you let the reins go too loose, you won't be able to rein them back in. And I think different people
Absolutely.
are going to have to consider how far they let those reins go. I think right now, because it's my first diet break, I can get quite loose. Next diet break, I probably can't get quite as loose. The diet break after that, it'll be a bit less loose. And kind of and people have probably talked about before, flexibility decreases as you get closer towards the stage in so many different ways, whether it be your ranges of calories, the amount of times you eat out, the type of foods you eat. So if you eat ready meals, you probably can't eat those close to the stage because they're going to be estimating amounts as well. So you get much more regimented and tight towards. So for this first diet break, this is probably going to be one of the loosest I'm ever going to have. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an experience for me because I haven't, like I said, I've never done it. And I'm really, and this is going to sound stupid, looking forward to the first week of my next training mesocycle because I swear the pumps are going to be insane because I'm going to have all the pizza fueling that first week.
The pizza gains.
Exactly.
The pizza power, is it?
And actually, I just want to touch on this because I don't know if you might ask me anyway, but this is going to be really interesting because typically when people go into these periods, I mean, some people gain weight, some people lose weight, some people maintain weight. I'm expecting me to maybe lose or maintain. If I gain weight, then my head's going to be screwy. But I imagine I'll lose, because whenever I come out of a diet, a mini cut, after the mini cut, the next 2 weeks, my weight kind of dips and then levels off, and then it starts coming up, which is strange. But it's that cortisol, that water retention going. So I think in this week, it'll be the week I have the most amount of calories, and I'll bet I'll see the biggest dip in weight. And that is when you need to realize the scale can lie. And this is why people should read the article, I think.
Absolutely. And you brought up so many good points I wanted to touch on. First off, now that you said that you are doing some adjustments to your diet, not those invasive ones, only changing maybe the dinner, what I would like to know, and I think would be interesting for the audience as well and the listener, are you changing your macro ranges? So are you increasing those so that you have a little bit of more flexibility?
Yeah, so I've been hitting 180 to 190 protein, 50 to 60 fat, and then 280 to 290 carbs, which is actually great. It's not that bad at all. But I will probably try and keep my protein and fats relatively level, but allow the rest to come from carbs. But say if I want to have something different that I don't normally have, or if my protein is going up to 200, I'm not going to worry. If my fats come to 70, I'm not going to scream and cry. It's not a big deal. As long as my calories sit around maintenance, which will be around 3,000, that's what I'm gunning for. So yeah, my ranges and just overall flexibility for this next week will come up to a degree, but not massively.
Yeah. And are you doing any adjustments to your supplement intake? Because I know that you're taking in citrulline malate and Intra workout supplementation.
So
Are you
yeah,
doing any adjustments?
actually part of the mental break I'm going to have is I'm not going to be training twice a day, because there's no point. I'd be going to the gym and doing one exercise. Well, not one exercise, but very little. My warm-up. Yeah, so I'll only be going once a day, which would be a real big mental break. I'm going to be able to put more time towards work and just chilling out, hopefully. But yeah, more time to work, which is exciting for all the listeners. It's going to be even more content. But yeah, that, and so I won't be taking a pre-workout. I'm going to really try and have decaf coffee and not have caffeine during my deload as best as I can, because I think that's really something that will help me going forward, and I won't need the caffeine next week. I won't need it. I just have to try and kind of have the crappy tasting decaf, which I really do hate, but I had 2 coffees today. It was a bad boy. So I need to get used to having decaf for a week. So yeah, my pre-workout stuff will all be going. So I won't be having taurine before the gym. I won't be having citrulline malate. I won't be having any arginine, things like that. I'll just be dropping. Obviously caffeine I'll be dropping. Creatine monohydrate will stay. That's something that I take year round.
Yeah.
That will just stay in the diet as per usual. I might kind of just have the 5 grams. I've been having about 10 grams. So I might just go back down to the 5 grams for this week, because it won't be so necessary to have those, and just keep myself saturated. But apart from that, fish oils will stay in, vitamin D3 will stay in, multivitamin, probably won't actually need that next week. I probably won't bother taking that. But for the most part, supplements will be staying level. I'm not taking all that many. But actually, you talked about intra-workout shakes, so that will be dropped. The main reason for taking that would be, well, the main reason I was taking it was twice daily training and then quite high volume training. So I certainly found it massively beneficial on my big leg days. The sessions taking close to 2 hours. Those high volumes, if I didn't actually have the intra-workout shake, I really don't think I would have had as productive a session. Whether it's a lot of it's psychological, I don't care. It really helped, and I found them help me throughout the entire kind of 4 weeks. So I'm looking, they're actually, I know it's liquid calories and they don't keep you satiated. At this point, it's worth the trade-off, especially during that final week and during those high volume sessions. I really found those to be a kind of a game changer, because I've never done it before.
So what you're basically doing is you're periodizing your supplementation as well,
Hell yeah.
based on that it's a deload session and you're giving yourself and your body kind of a deload when it comes to supplementation as well. Um, Without going too or taking too much of your time from the audience as well, let's try to wrap it up here. However, I would like to know after your deload and diet break, what will your plan look like? Will it be any different to the mesocycle you did prior to that, or will you stick to it because this mesocycle went that well? Give the audience a little bit of insight in that.
Cool. So diet will probably stay the same. I'll probably go back to those calories, assuming everything this week goes kind of to plan. I imagine diet will stay the same,
Yeah.
as will cardio, as will kind of steps. I won't need to change any of that. What I imagine will change is slight tweaks to the training. So there'll probably be a few movements, exercises that will be adjusted. So I have a feeling I may well drop sumo deadlifts. They may go. I might move some of my barbell presses to dumbbell presses. They'll probably be switched up slightly, and that will also allow for a higher repetition range to be used. So dumbbells are a bit better for like a higher repetition range. So where I'd been hitting like 6 and 8s on the barbell bench press, I may well move to something like a dumbbell bench press and go to more to the 8 to 10s. That will allow for more volume inherently because it's a higher rep range. Actual set numbers probably won't change too much. So the biggest changes I'm envisioning for my next kind of bout of fat loss will be training, some exercise changes, and a slight increase via rep range. Apart from that, yeah, it's working really well. Split will stay the same. I'll still do AM and PM sessions. I am hopefully checking in with Jared Feather during my deload, and we'll just kind of go over that training cycle, make sure he's kind of on board with everything. It's quite nice just to check in with him, see what he's thinking, because he's a very bright individual, and it's nice to have that back and forth with someone who isn't just you, Pascal. No offense, but it's nice to, like you've got Jeff, I've got Jared. It's nice to have another person with a like outside view, because we're with each other all the time. We very much agree with one another with most things, so I think it's good to have that outside perspective.
Absolutely, and I think it's so important to have such a support around you and such an environment, because I'm really looking forward for the next weeks and month, and I think or you as well, we have the benefits of having each other and having another coach, so we can always go back to getting help, getting support, and when we are getting into the dark areas or dark moments, we can always support each other. And I think this is a really, really good point, especially to have a coach who's only looking at the data and sometimes helps you on a psychology or mental level. However, we have each other when it really comes to those mental struggles and the daily things and the daily struggles itself.
Yeah, I've got to say thank you, Pascal, for this last week, probably mostly, because I have definitely used you as a bit of support there. And you're completely right. With Jared, a lot of the time this is what I'm thinking, how do you think? And then often it's kind of, slight tweak or agreement. And it's really nice to have that kind of, it's a good learning environment for me. And that's the main reason I'm doing it right now. Later, when my brain is maybe not working so well for my own body, someone else's brain is going to have to take control of these details.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah, awesome. Really looking forward to it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Steve, for giving us such an in-depth insight on your last week and for the upcoming week. And I think we wrap up here now.
Awesome.
So that the audience can enjoy the rest of the day whenever they listen to this. And is there anything we want to tell the audience?
So I guess we should talk about the Mike Israetel seminar, actually. Good point.
Exactly.
So Mike Israetel from Renaissance Periodization, we are bringing him over again for a fantastic seminar that is going to be all about hypertrophy, all the scientific principles, all the juicy details that you do not hear on the podcast, because he doesn't reveal every single thing on the podcast. Believe it or not, he has got more in his brain, and you can ask him questions there live. So this is happening 27th, 28th of May. First day is a day where he's just going over all of these kind of topics and presenting those. Second day is VIP only. Going to be in the gym with Mike. He's going to destroy you and teach you all these special techniques, special kind of hypertrophy techniques that he uses, and also just form techniques, and just a chance to be with the big man himself and be with us because we'll be there also. So at the moment you can sign up, and we'll have a link below, or a link available for you, where you can go and sign up to the email list, in which not only can you get kind of early bird access to the cheapest tickets and the VIP tickets, but also an opportunity to view a video from last year in which Mike briefly goes over the scientific principles of hypertrophy training. Now, that was a talk he did very much on the fly. People literally asked for it then and there, and he provided. This time, completely planned. So that's going to give you a juicy little taster, because that was good in itself. This is going to be so much better. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Pascal.
It was so comprehensive, man. However, I wanted to add one little thing.
I knew I'd miss something.
People, I mean, if you have the chance of getting into a training session with the Super Saiyan himself, Mike Israel, man, I think this is a one-time chance, and so valuable for the people out there to actually go in and get the training session with him. And it's an exclusive thing. Yeah, we are only in a limited space, and with quite intimate round. Yeah. And I think that this is so valuable, and no money in the world can actually,
It's
you know what I
invaluable.
mean?
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Exactly.
It's going to be in a private gym setting. We're only planning for 10 people to be there in addition to ourselves. It's going to be really exclusive, really fun, really cool. So I'm massively looking forward to that as well. And tickets are going to be on sale end of March. So
those are the early bird tickets.
Early bird tickets and VIP tickets will be starting at the end of March, and there's limited availability for both of those. So definitely get involved. And yeah, you can come and say hi to us, because we really want to meet as many of you as we can.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will end the show now.
Cheers, guys. Take care.